The massive throne room on Nexus Prime stretched for miles under a ceiling that showed the stars of 12,000 conquered worlds. Emperor Kale sat on his golden throne, looking down at the holographic display that showed a small blue planet spinning slowly in the darkness of space. "So this is the new world our scouts found," Kale said, his voice echoing through the vast chamber. "Tell me about these humans." General Vex stepped forward, his red uniform covered in medals from 100 victories. He had served the Dominion for 3 centuries and had never seen a species that could resist their might for more than a few days. "My Emperor, they are a young species. They only learned to travel between stars 50 years ago. Their technology is very simple compared to ours. They have no shields on their ships. Their weapons are basic metal projectiles. They cannot even travel faster than light without using primitive jump gates." Admiral Knox, standing beside Vex, added more details. "Our probe counted only 50 of their largest ships. Most of their fleet appears to be small craft that could not damage even our smallest vessels. They live on one world and have only built small stations around their sun." Kale smiled. The Dominion had ruled the galaxy for 5,000 years. They had conquered advanced civilizations that had ruled space for millennia before humans even discovered fire. This would be easy. "How many worlds do they control?" Kyle asked. "1. My Emperor, just their homeworld, which they call Earth. They have some mining operations on nearby rocks, but nothing significant. Their entire population is concentrated on a single planet." This made Kale laugh. Most species the Dominion encountered controlled at least a dozen worlds before achieving faster-than-light travel. These humans were even more primitive than he had hoped. "Perfect," Kyle said, standing up from his throne. "We will make an example of them. When other species see how quickly we crush even those who dare to explore space, they will surrender before we arrive." General Vex activated the holographic display, showing the route their fleet would take to reach Earth. "The journey will take 2 weeks, my Emperor. Shall I prepare the usual invasion force?" "No," Kyle said, waving his hand. "Send only the 47th Battle Fleet. 300 ships should be more than enough to deal with 50 primitive vessels. Admiral Knox will command the operation." Admiral Knox bowed. He had led the 47th Fleet for 200 years. They had destroyed civilizations that had ruled star systems for thousands of years. Crushing one primitive world would be simple work. "What are your orders regarding prisoners, my Emperor?" Knox asked. "The usual. Offer them the chance to become servants of the Dominion. If they refuse, destroy their cities until they surrender. If they still refuse after that, eliminate them completely. We cannot allow any species to think they can resist us." Meanwhile, far across the galaxy, Commander Jin Woo was working the night shift at Earth's Deep Space Monitoring Division. The facility sat hidden inside a mountain in Korea, its sensors reaching out into space to watch for anything unusual. Jin Woo had been monitoring space for 15 years. Most nights were quiet, with only the normal traffic of human ships moving between Earth and the outer settlements. Tonight felt different. "Commander," called Specialist Hae Young from her station, "I'm detecting something strange. There's an object approaching from outside our solar system. It's small, maybe the size of a shuttle, but it's moving faster than anything we've built." Jinwoo walked over to look at her screen. The object was indeed moving at incredible speed, far faster than human ships could travel. It was heading directly toward Earth. "How long until it arrives?" Jinwoo asked. "At current speed, about 6 hours. But, Commander, it's slowing down. It seems to want to stop in orbit around Earth." Jinwoo felt a chill run down his spine. This was what every person working in space defense had been trained for. First contact with an alien species. He activated the emergency communication system. This is deep space monitoring. We have a potential first contact situation. I repeat, we have an unknown object of non-human origin approaching Earth. Within minutes, Jinwoo's screen lit up with incoming calls from military commanders around the world. Admiral Dong-hyun, Supreme Commander of Earth's United Defense Fleet, appeared on the main screen. "Commander Jinwoo, what's the situation?" Admiral Dong-hyun asked. "Sir, we have an alien probe 6 hours out from Earth. It's definitely not human. Technology. The speed and design are completely unknown. I'm calling an emergency meeting of the Global Defense Council. Keep monitoring that probe. If it does anything hostile, activate Defense Protocol 7 immediately." 6 hours later, the alien probe entered Earth's orbit. It was sleek and silver, about the size of a small human ship. But its design was unlike anything humans had ever built. It moved without any visible propulsion, simply gliding through space. Dr. So Young, Earth's leading expert on potential alien technology, watched from the monitoring station as the probe began transmitting a signal. "It's broadcasting on multiple frequencies," she told Jinwoo. "The signal is complex, but our computers are already beginning to translate it." The translation came through faster than anyone expected. The probe's message was simple and direct. "Broadcast in perfect English. People of Earth, I am Emperor Kale of the Galactic Dominion. We have conquered 12,000 star systems across this galaxy. Your world has been selected for incorporation into our empire. You have 72 of your hours to surrender completely. Submit to Dominion rule, and your species will be allowed to serve us. Resist, and your world will be destroyed. This is not a negotiation. This is an order." The message repeated several times. Then the probe went silent, simply floating in orbit like a metallic moon. Jinwoo stared at the screen. In all the years humans had wondered about alien life, no one had imagined first contact would be a demand for surrender. Dr. So Young was already analyzing the probe's technology through their sensors. "This is incredible," she said. "Their technology is definitely more advanced than ours, but not impossibly so. The materials are unusual, but we could probably build something similar with our current knowledge." Admiral Dong-hyun's voice came through the communication system. "All defense stations, this is Admiral Dong-hyun. We are now at Defense Condition 1. All personnel report to stations immediately. We have 72 hours to decide Earth's response." As news of the alien ultimatum spread around the world, something remarkable happened. Instead of panic, there was determination. Humans had spent 50 years preparing for this possibility. Every defense installation, every military unit, every space-capable vessel had been designed with one question in mind. What if someone tried to conquer Earth? General Hyun-sik activated defense systems that had been hidden for decades. Captain Mi-kyung received orders to prepare her squadron for possible combat. Director Tae-min began the process that would reveal humanity's greatest secret. Earth would not surrender. The Dominion had made one critical error. They assumed that a young species with simple technology would be easy to defeat. They had no idea what humans were truly capable of when their survival was threatened. The 72-hour countdown began. Emperor Kyle expected either immediate surrender or desperate pleas for mercy. He would receive neither. Earth's response would shock the entire galaxy. Deep beneath the Swiss mountains, in a bunker that could survive a direct nuclear strike, the leaders of Earth gathered around a massive table. The Global Defense Council had been formed 50 years ago when humans first achieved faster-than-light travel. Every nation had representatives, but today the military commanders dominated the discussion. Admiral Dong Hyun sat at the head of the table, looking at the translated message from the alien probe. Around him sat the most powerful people on Earth. Presidents, prime ministers, generals, and scientists. The weight of humanity's future rested in this room. 72 hours. Admiral Dong Hyun said quietly. They expect us to surrender our entire world in 3 days. President Kim of the Pacific Federation spoke first. What do we know about their military capabilities? Dr. So Young stood up, activating a holographic display that showed the alien probe. From our scans, their technology is advanced but not magical. They use materials we don't have, but their engineering principles are similar to ours. Their probe has no weapons, but it's clearly built for long-distance travel. General Hyun Sik, who had spent his entire career preparing Earth's defenses, leaned forward. Dr. So Young, in your opinion, could we fight them? That depends on what they bring, she replied. If they send a small force expecting easy victory, we might surprise them. If they bring their full military might, she paused. We need to know more about their capabilities. We already know enough, said Director Tae-min, speaking for the first time. He ran the most classified project on Earth, something so secret that only 12 people in the room knew it existed. They think we're primitive. They think we're helpless. They're wrong on both counts. Captain Mi-kyung, the best pilot in Earth's Space Force, had been studying the probe's movement patterns. Sir, their probe moves like it has unlimited power. No fuel concerns, no heat buildup from engines. That suggests technology far beyond our public capabilities. Public capabilities, Director Tae-min repeated with a slight smile. Captain, what do you know about the Prometheus project? Nothing, sir. I've heard rumors, but the rumors are wrong. The truth is better. Tae-min activated his security clearance, and suddenly, new displays appeared around the room. Ladies and gentlemen, let me show you what we've really been building for the past 50 years. The holographic displays showed star maps, but not like any the council members had seen before. Instead of empty space around Earth's solar system, the maps showed hundreds of installations. Massive structures orbited every planet. The asteroid belt was filled with industrial facilities. Even the outer edges of the solar system showed defensive positions. This is impossible, whispered the president of Europa. Our satellites would have detected construction on this scale. Our satellites did detect it, Tae-min replied, because we built it. Every weather satellite, every communication relay, every space station you think you know about, they're all something else entirely. Admiral Dong Hyun studied the displays with growing amazement. Even he, with the highest security clearance in Earth's military, had not known the full scope of the hidden preparations. Director, are you telling us that we've been secretly militarizing our entire solar system? Not militarizing. Preparing. We always knew that someone might find us eventually. We decided that when they did, Earth would be ready. Dr. So Young was examining the technical specifications that appeared on her personal display. These power output readings, Director, some of these installations show energy production levels that should be impossible with our technology. Our public technology, Tae-min corrected. Dr. So Young, your team analyzed the alien probe and concluded their technology was advanced but achievable. You were right. We achieved it 30 years ago. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Earth was not a helpless, primitive world waiting to be conquered. Humanity had been preparing for this moment since they first looked at the stars. General Hyun-sik was the first to speak. "Director, what exactly are we capable of?" "Everything we need to be," Tae-min replied. "Captain Mi-kyung, those movement patterns you observed from the alien probe? Our fighters can do the same thing and more. Dr. So-young, those materials you couldn't identify. We've been manufacturing similar composites for decades." "But how?" asked the president of Africa. "The resources alone would require converting asteroids into raw materials, building automated factories in space, and developing closed-loop manufacturing systems," Tae-min finished, "which is exactly what we did." Admiral Dong-hyun stood up slowly. As Supreme Commander, the decision ultimately rested with him. "Director, in your professional opinion, if this galactic dominion sends a fleet to conquer Earth, can we stop them?" "Admiral, in my professional opinion, if they send anything less than their entire military force, they'll regret it. And if they do send everything," Tae-min smiled, "well, we'll give them a fight they'll never forget." The debate continued for 6 hours. Some council members argued for negotiation, suggesting that humanity could benefit from joining a galactic civilization. Others wanted to attempt communication, hoping to find a peaceful solution. But as the hours passed, one fact became clear. The alien message had not been an invitation to negotiate. It was a demand for complete surrender. The Galactic Dominion expected Earth to submit without question, to become servants in their empire. Finally, Admiral Dong-hyun called for a vote. All in favor of surrendering to the Galactic Dominion, not a single hand was raised. All in favor of attempting to negotiate a peaceful solution? 3 hands went up. All in favor of rejecting their demands and preparing for war? Every other hand in the room rose. The decision was unanimous enough. Admiral Dong-hyun turned to the communication technician. "Open a channel to the alien probe." "Channel open, sir." Admiral Dong-hyun looked directly into the camera that would transmit his message across space to the probe and through it to the Galactic Dominion. His voice was calm and steady, without fear or anger. "This is Admiral Dong-hyun, Supreme Commander of Earth's Defense Forces, speaking on behalf of all humanity. We have received your ultimatum and considered it carefully. Our answer is no. We will not surrender our world, our freedom, or our future to the Galactic Dominion. We suggest you reconsider your aggressive policies and withdraw from our solar system immediately. This is your only warning." He paused, then added something that would puzzle alien analysts for years to come. "We have also taken the liberty of analyzing your probe's technology. We've identified several design improvements that would increase its efficiency by approximately 30%. The technical specifications are attached to this message. Consider it a gift and an indication of what you're dealing with." The message was transmitted to the probe, which immediately retransmitted it across the galaxy to Emperor Kale. As the council members filed out of the bunker, Director Tae-min gave his final orders. "Activate all Prometheus facilities. Begin Phase 1 deployment and send a message to Captain Mi-kyung. It's time to show the galaxy what human pilots can really do." Far across space, Emperor Kyle received Earth's response. He read the casual rejection of his ultimatum with growing disbelief. No species had ever responded to Dominion demands with such confidence, and the attached technical improvements to his probe design, that was incomprehensible. Emperor Kale's anger grew as he realized these primitive humans were actually trying to help him build better technology. The arrogance was unbelievable. "Admiral Knox," he commanded, "prepare the 47th Battle Fleet for immediate departure. These humans need to learn what happens when they defy the Galactic Dominion." The war that would reshape the galaxy was about to begin, and neither side truly understood what they were about to face. 2 weeks later, the 47th Battle Fleet of the Galactic Dominion arrived at the edge of Earth's solar system with the confidence of conquerors who had never known defeat. 300 warships emerged from hyperspace in perfect formation, their hulls gleaming with the dark metal that had terrorized 1,000 worlds. Admiral Knox stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Dominion, looking at the tactical display that showed the primitive human solar system spread before him. His officers bustled around their stations, preparing for what they expected to be a brief and decisive battle. "Sensors, report on enemy positions," Knox commanded. Lieutenant Zara checked her displays. "Admiral, I'm reading minimal military presence. The humans have approximately 50 vessels scattered throughout their system. Most appear to be cargo ships or small patrol craft. Their largest ships are roughly frigate class by our standards." Commander Hex, Knox's second-in-command, laughed. 50 ships against 300? Admiral, this will be over before our weapons finish charging." Knox nodded, but something bothered him. The human response to Emperor Kale's ultimatum had been too confident, too casual. Either they were incredibly brave, or they knew something the Dominion didn't. "What about their defenses around the home world?" Knox asked. "Standard orbital satellites, Admiral. Communication relays, weather monitoring. Stations, navigation beacons. Primitive technology, but typical for a young species. On the outer edge of the solar system, human sensors tracked every ship in the Dominion fleet. Commander Jin Woo sat in his hidden monitoring station, watching the alien formation approach. Beside him, Dr. So Young analyzed the enemy vessels. "Their ships are impressive," she admitted. "Much larger than ours, and those energy readings suggest very powerful weapons. But Jin Woo, look at their formation." Jin Woo studied the tactical display. "They're bunched together, flying in a parade formation like they're expecting no resistance at all." "Exactly. They think they're dealing with primitives who will run at the first sight of their fleet." Jin Woo activated his communication system. "Admiral Dong Hyun, this is Deep Space Monitoring. The alien fleet has arrived. 300 ships moving in standard invasion formation toward Earth." From his command center beneath the Pacific Ocean, Admiral Dong Hyun watched the same tactical display. Around him, Earth's military leaders prepared for humanity's first interstellar war. "Captain Mi Kyung, status of your squadron?" Dong Hyun asked. Captain Mi Kyung's voice came from her fighter. "Currently hidden behind one of Jupiter's moons. 50 birds ready to fly, Admiral. We're positioned and waiting for your signal." "Commander Young Ho, how's the Defiant?" Commander Young Ho, captain of Earth's most advanced warship, responded from his bridge. "All systems green, Admiral. The crew is ready." General Hyun Sik monitored the defensive grid from his underground facility. "Ground-based systems are active and targeting solutions are locked. We're ready to show them what Earth hospitality looks like." Admiral Knox was growing impatient. His fleet had been approaching the inner system for 6 hours, and the humans had made no move to intercept them. Their few ships seemed to be running away, fleeing toward their home world. "This is almost disappointing," Commander Hex said. "At least other species tried to fight before surrendering." "Broadcast the final surrender demand," Knox ordered. "Give them one last chance to submit." The message went out across all human communication. Frequencies. Admiral Knox's image appeared on screens throughout Earth's solar system. "Humans of Earth, This is Admiral Knox of the Galactic Dominion. Our fleet is now in your system. You have seen our power. Surrender immediately and your deaths will be quick. Continue to resist, and we will destroy your world slowly, city by city, until nothing remains. On Earth, billions of people watched the broadcast. In the defense centers, military personnel waited for their leader's response. The alien admiral looked exactly like what humans had imagined a space tyrant would look like. Arrogant, cruel, and completely convinced of his own superiority. Admiral Dong-hyun's response was broadcast on the same frequencies, ensuring the alien fleet would receive it. Admiral Knox, this is Admiral Dong-hyun. We appreciate the opportunity to surrender, but we must decline. However, we'd like to make you a counteroffer. Withdraw your fleet now, and we'll let you leave unharmed. Stay, and you'll discover why humanity has survived every challenge we've ever faced. Knox stared at the screen in disbelief. The human admiral's tone was not desperate or pleading. He spoke like someone offering advice to a friend, casual and confident. "Are they insane?" Commander Hex asked. "Do they not understand what's about to happen to them?" "Apparently not," Knox replied. "Begin the attack. Target their orbital facilities first. Show them what Dominion firepower can do." The Dominion fleet moved into attack formation, their massive ships charging weapons that could crack planets. Knox planned to destroy a few of Earth's satellites as a demonstration, then demand surrender again. Most species gave up once they saw Dominion weapons in action. "All ships, prepare for preliminary bombardment," Knox announced to his fleet. "Target the satellites around the human home world. Fire on my command." 300 ships aligned there. Weapons toward Earth. Energy readings spiked as massive cannons charged with enough power to level continents. The display was intended to terrify the humans into immediate submission. "Weapons charged and ready, Admiral," reported his tactical officer. "Fire!" Beams of devastating energy lanced out from the Dominion fleet toward Earth's orbital satellites. For a moment, space lit up with the light of artificial stars as enough energy to destroy a moon focused on what appeared to be simple communication relays. Then something impossible happened. The satellites didn't explode. Instead, they seemed to absorb the energy, glowing brighter for a few seconds before returning to normal. Then they moved. What Admiral Knox had thought were primitive communication satellites suddenly revealed their true nature. Each one unfolded like a mechanical flower, revealing massive weapon systems that had been hidden inside innocent-looking shells. "Admiral!" his sensor officer called out in panic. "Those weren't satellites! They're weapons platforms! Energy readings are off the scale!" Lieutenant Zara's voice cracked with disbelief. "Sir, I'm counting over 200 platforms around their world. Each one is showing energy output comparable to our battleships." Commander Jin Woo watched from his monitoring station as Director Taemin's Prometheus project finally revealed itself. Around Earth, hundreds of disguised weapons platforms activated simultaneously. In the asteroid belt, massive stations that had appeared to be mining operations opened to reveal shipyards and manufacturing facilities. Near Jupiter, hidden bases launched clouds of fighter craft. "Grid Alpha is active," Jin Woo reported to Admiral Dong-hyun. "All platforms are powered and targeting the enemy fleet." Admiral Dong-hyun's voice was calm as he gave the order that would change galactic history forever. "Gentlemen, ladies, you have served Earth with honor. Now let's show the galaxy what happens when someone threatens our home. All units, you are free to engage." Admiral Knox watched his tactical display as it transformed from showing a helpless primitive world to revealing a military installation unlike anything in Dominion history. The humans hadn't just hidden a few weapons. They had turned their entire solar system into a fortress. "How is this possible?" he whispered. He was about to find out exactly what humanity was capable of when their survival was threatened. The 47th Battle Fleet had expected to crush a primitive species in a few hours. Instead, they were about to face the most sophisticated defense system ever created. The real battle was about to begin. Admiral Knox stared at his tactical display as hundreds of hidden weapons platforms came online around Earth. His confidence wavered for the first time in 2 centuries of conquest. But he was still commanding 300 of the most powerful warships in the galaxy against what appeared to be stationary defenses. "All ships, maintain formation," he ordered. "These are fixed installations. They cannot maneuver. We'll destroy them systematically and then proceed with planetary bombardment." Commander Hex looked nervous but nodded. "Admiral, even if weapons are more powerful than expected. They're still outnumbered. We have mobility advantage." "Exactly. Begin targeting the largest platforms. Full fleet bombardment." The Dominion fleet adjusted course, bringing their massive guns to bear on Earth's revealed defenses. Knox had conquered civilizations that had built similar orbital fortresses. The key was concentrated firepower, destroy the platforms faster than they could respond. "Fleet reports ready, Admiral," his tactical officer announced. "Fire everything." 300 warships unleashed their full fury at Earth's defense platforms. Space erupted in brilliant light as energy beams, plasma bolts, and missile swarms streaked toward their targets. It was enough firepower to devastate entire continents. On Earth, Admiral Dong Hyun watched the incoming attack on his tactical screens. Beside him, General Hyun Sik monitored the defense grid's response systems. "Impact in 30 seconds, General Hyun Sik announced calmly. "Platform commanders report ready for defensive protocols. Let them see what they're really fighting." Admiral Dong Hyun replied. The Dominion's devastating attack struck Earth's defense platforms with the force of falling stars. For a moment, the platforms disappeared in explosions of light and energy. Admiral Knox smiled, expecting to see debris and wreckage when the light faded. Instead, he saw something that chilled him to his core. The platforms were undamaged, not just intact. They showed no signs of being hit at all. What should have been a devastating attack had been completely absorbed by defensive systems beyond Dominion understanding. "Impossible," Commander Hex whispered. "Nothing can withstand that." "Much firepower, sir," Lieutenant Zara called out, her voice tight with fear. "The platforms are powering weapons. Energy readings are... Admiral, they're impossible. Each platform is generating more power than our largest battleships." Admiral Knox was about to order another attack when Commander Jin Woo gave a simple command from his monitoring station on Earth. "Grid Alpha, you are authorized to return fire." What happened next would be discussed in military academies across the galaxy for centuries to come. The defense platforms around Earth didn't fire energy weapons like the Dominion fleet. Instead, they revealed humanity's most devastating innovation: kinetic bombardment systems. Each platform launched what appeared to be simple metal rods, no larger than telephone poles. But these rods moved at speeds that violated everything the Dominion knew about physics. They accelerated to significant fractions of light speed, becoming relativistic projectiles that carried more destructive force than any energy weapon. The first salvo from Earth's defense grid tore through the Dominion fleet like bullets through paper. Ships that had conquered star systems exploded as tungsten rods moving at near light speed punched through their hulls. The Dominion's energy shields, designed to deflect plasma and lasers, provided no protection whatsoever against solid, matter moving at relativistic speeds. "Evasive maneuvers!" Admiral Knox shouted, but it was too late. 12 of his battleships disappeared in brilliant explosions as the kinetic projectiles found their marks. The weapons moved too fast for his ships to dodge, too fast for his sensors to track effectively. "How are they moving those projectiles so fast?" Commander Hex demanded, his composure finally cracking. Lieutenant Zara studied her readings with growing horror. "Sir, they're not using conventional propulsion. The projectiles seem to be manipulating space-time itself. They're achieving near-light speeds through gravitational manipulation." Admiral Knox realized he was facing technology that shouldn't exist. Kinetic weapons were ancient technology, used by primitive species before they developed energy weapons. But no one had ever figured out how to make them move at these speeds. The energy requirements should be impossible. "Sir, incoming transmission from the human fleet," his communications officer announced. "Put it through." Captain Mi-kyung's voice came across the communication system, broadcast from her fighter squadron. "Dominion Fleet, this is Captain Mi-kyung of Earth Defense. You've just experienced our basic defensive capabilities. We strongly recommend you withdraw immediately." "Your basic capabilities?" Admiral Knox responded. "You've just destroyed 12 of our ships with technology that shouldn't exist." "Admiral, you haven't seen anything yet. Those were warning shots." As if to prove her point, the defense platforms fired again. This time, the kinetic projectiles moved even faster, and there were more of them. 20 more Dominion ships exploded, as tungsten rods traveling at 90% of light speed punched through their hulls like they were made of tissue paper. But the kinetic bombardment was only the beginning. As Admiral Knox watched in disbelief, Captain Mi-kyung's fighter squadron emerged from behind Jupiter's moons. The fighters moved in ways that defied physics, accelerating and turning at speeds that should have killed their pilots instantly. "Sir, those fighters are moving at impossible velocities," Lieutenant Zara reported. "They're pulling maneuvers that would generate hundreds of G-forces. No biological pilot could survive." "Then they must be unmanned," Commander Hex suggested. Captain Mi-kyung's laughter came across the communication channel. "Not unmanned, Commander. Just better protected than you think." Her fighters began their attack run, and Admiral Knox discovered that humanity had solved one of space warfare's oldest problems: how to protect pilots from extreme acceleration. The human fighters moved like they had no mass at all, turning and accelerating in patterns that seemed to ignore inertia entirely. Major Sung-hoon, coordinating the attack from Earth's surface, watched as Captain Mi-kyung's squadron demonstrated their true capabilities. Each fighter was equipped with localized gravity manipulation systems that created protective fields around the pilots, allowing them to survive maneuvers that would liquefy unprotected humans. "Grid Beta, commence firing," Major Sung-hoon ordered. Suddenly, Admiral Knox's sensors detected weapons platforms throughout the asteroid belt. What his scouts had reported as simple mining operations revealed themselves as massive military installations. Each one was larger than a Dominion battleship and bristling with weapons. "Admiral!" Lieutenant Zara's voice was now barely controlled panic. "I'm detecting over 100 new platforms throughout the system. They're all coming online simultaneously. The asteroid belt erupted with weapons fire. But these weren't kinetic projectiles. These platforms fired beams of coherent energy that made Dominion weapons look primitive. The beams didn't just damage ships. They seemed to disintegrate whatever they touched at the molecular level." Commander Young-ho's voice came across the communication channels from his ship, the Defiant. Dominion Fleet, this is Commander Young-Ho. You are surrounded and outgunned. This is your final chance to surrender. Admiral Knox looked at his tactical display. In the space of 10 minutes, he had lost over 50 ships to weapons that shouldn't exist, deployed by a species that was supposed to be primitive. His remaining fleet was scattered and demoralized, facing enemies that could move faster than his sensors could track and fire weapons that his shields couldn't stop. "Sir," Commander Hex said quietly, "perhaps we should consider a tactical withdrawal." Admiral Knox's pride warred with his tactical sense. The 47th Battle Fleet had never retreated from any engagement, but they had also never faced anything like this. "Open a channel to the human fleet," he ordered. "Channel open, sir. This is Admiral Knox. We demand you explain how you possess such advanced technology. Our intelligence indicated you were a primitive species." Admiral Dong-hyun's response came back immediately, his tone almost amused. "Admiral, your intelligence was correct. We are a young species. We've only been in space for 50 years, but we've been preparing for this meeting for every one of those 50 years. Impossible. No species develops such technology so quickly. Admiral, you've made the same mistake that every bully makes. You assume that because we were new to space, we were weak. You forgot that sometimes the new species is the one with fresh ideas." Captain Mi-kyung's fighters had now surrounded the remaining Dominion ships, moving in impossible patterns that kept the alien gunners from getting target locks. Specialist Bon Hua's targeting systems painted every enemy ship simultaneously, ready to destroy the entire fleet if the order came. Admiral Knox realized he faced a choice: continue fighting and lose his entire fleet, or retreat and explain to Emperor Kale how 300 ships had been beaten by 50 human vessels and some mining platforms. The battle was far from over, but the first engagement had shattered every assumption the Dominion had made about humanity. Earth's defenders had revealed capabilities that would force the entire galaxy to reconsider what they thought they knew about this new species. Admiral Knox was about to make a decision that would change the course of galactic history. Emperor Kale paced across his throne room on Nexus Prime, staring at the holographic display that showed the disaster unfolding in the human solar system. Admiral Knox's fleet was being systematically destroyed by creatures that were supposed to be primitive savages. "How many ships have we lost?" Kyle demanded. General Vex checked his reports with trembling hands. 57 confirmed destroyed, my Emperor. Another 20 severely damaged. Admiral Knox is requesting immediate reinforcements." "Reinforcements?" Kyle's voice rose to a roar. "The 47th Battle Fleet was supposed to crush these humans in hours. Now you tell me they need help?" "My Emperor, the humans possess technology we don't understand. Their weapons move faster than our ships can dodge, and their defenses can absorb our most powerful attacks without damage." Kyle struck the arm of his throne with his fist. In 5,000 years, the Dominion had never faced a species that could match their military might. The idea that a 50-year-old civilization could outfight his fleets was impossible to accept. "Send the 12th and 23rd Battle Fleets immediately," he ordered. 800 ships total. Whatever technology these humans have, they cannot stand against the combined might of 3 fleets. Back in the human solar system, Admiral Knox made the most difficult decision of his military career. Facing complete annihilation, he ordered a retreat to the outer edge of the system. His remaining ships limped away from Earth, pursued by human fighters that could have destroyed them easily, but chose instead to escort them out of weapons range. "Why aren't they finishing us, Commander?" Hex asked as they reached the edge of the system. Admiral Knox studied the tactical display. The human fighters maintained perfect formation around his fleet, clearly capable of destroying every remaining ship, but making no hostile moves. I think they're making a point. They could kill us all, but they're choosing not to. Captain Meek-young's voice came across the communication channel. Admiral Knox, you are now outside our defensive perimeter. You're free to leave. We suggest you take this opportunity to reconsider your Empire's policies. This isn't over, Knox replied, though his heart wasn't in the threat. We know, Meek-young responded. Your Emperor will send more ships. When he does, we'll be ready. On Earth, Admiral Dong-hyun convened an emergency meeting of the Defense Council. The first battle had been won, but everyone knew it was just the beginning. Director Tae-min, Admiral Dong-hyun said, it's time to activate Phase 2 of Prometheus Project. If they're sending more ships, we need to show them everything we've been preparing. Director Tae-min nodded. Admiral, Phase 2 will reveal capabilities that will fundamentally change how the galaxy views humanity. Are we ready for that? Director, they came here planning genocide. I think we're past worrying about keeping secrets. Throughout the solar system, hidden installations that had remained dormant for decades suddenly came online. Dr. Jae Young, the brilliant scientist who had developed humanity's most advanced technologies, watched from her laboratory as her life's work was finally revealed. The asteroid belt, which the Dominion had dismissed as mining operations, transformed before their sensors. Every asteroid had been hollowed out and converted into automated manufacturing facilities. Within hours, these facilities began producing new ships at a rate that should have been impossible. Fleet Admiral Min Ho emerged from his hidden command center beneath Europa's ice. For 30 years, he had been building and training a fleet that no alien species had ever detected. His ships used technology so advanced that they existed partially outside normal space, invisible to conventional sensors. All ships, this is Admiral Min Ho, he broadcast to his hidden fleet. Begin Phase 2 deployment. Show them what Earth's real navy looks like. What happened next would be remembered as the moment the galaxy realized that humanity was unlike any species they had ever encountered. From hidden bases throughout the solar system, human ships began appearing. But these weren't the small fighters and frigates the Dominion had been fighting. Admiral Min Ho's fleet consisted of 200 vessels, each the size of a Dominion dreadnought, but using technology that made them nearly invincible. Dr. Jae Young's breakthrough in dimensional manipulation allowed these ships to phase in and out of normal space, making them impossible to target while allowing them to strike with devastating precision. General Kyung-soo activated the solar system defense grid's full capabilities. What the aliens had seen in the first battle was only a fraction of Earth's true defensive power. Hidden weapons platforms throughout the system revealed themselves, connected by a communication network that allowed them to coordinate attacks across impossible distances. When the Dominion reinforcements arrived 2 days later, they found a completely transformed battlefield. Instead of facing a single primitive world with basic defenses, they encountered a military installation that spanned an entire star system. Admiral Rex, commanding the 12th Fleet, stared at his sensors in disbelief. 800 ships, he muttered. The Emperor sent 800 ships to crush 50 primitive vessels. Now I'm looking at a fleet that matches our size, plus defensive installations that dwarf anything we've ever built. Admiral Torx of the 23rd Fleet was equally stunned. How is this possible? Our scouts reported minimal human presence in this system. Where did all these ships come from? Dr. Jae Young's manufacturing facilities provided the answer. The asteroids weren't just factories. They were matter conversion systems that could transform raw materials into finished spacecraft in a matter of hours. Humanity had solved the fundamental problem of space warfare, how to replace losses faster than enemies could inflict them. Commander Young-ho watched from the bridge of the Defiant as Admiral Min-ho's fleet took positions around the combined Dominion forces. The human ships moved through space like ghosts, appearing and disappearing at will, completely undetectable until they chose to reveal themselves. "This is Admiral Min-ho of Earth's Deep Space Fleet," came the broadcast to the Dominion ships. "You are surrounded and outgunned. We offer you the same choice we gave your advance force. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences." Admiral Rex tried to maintain his composure. "Human Commander, we represent the Galactic Dominion. We have conquered 12,000 worlds. You cannot stand against our combined might." Admiral Min-ho replied, "Your advance force probably thought the same thing. How did that work out for them?" The human fleet demonstrated their capabilities by performing maneuvers that violated every law of physics the Dominion understood. Ships appeared and disappeared across vast distances, moving faster than light without using hyperspace, coordinating attacks across the entire solar system simultaneously. Engineer Nam Wook monitored the dimensional manipulation systems from his station on Europa. The technology that made these maneuvers possible had taken 30 years to develop, based on humanity's understanding of quantum mechanics and space-time manipulation. "All ships report ready," he announced to Admiral Min-ho. "Dimensional drives are stable, and we can maintain phase variance indefinitely." Admiral Rex made the same mistake Admiral Knox had made. He underestimated his opponents. "All ships, attack formation. We'll destroy their fleet and then proceed with planetary bombardment." The second battle of the human solar system began with the combined Dominion fleets opening fire with everything they had. 800 ships unleashed enough firepower to crack planets, focusing their attack on Admiral Min-ho's fleet. The human ships simply vanished. One moment they were there, the next they had phased out of normal space, leaving the Dominion weapons firing at empty vacuum. Then they reappeared, but not where the aliens expected. Admiral Min-ho's fleet materialized throughout the Dominion formation, inside their defensive perimeters, at point-blank range. The return fire was devastating. Human weapons based on principles the Dominion had never encountered tore through. Alien shields and armor like they weren't there. Ships that had conquered civilizations across the galaxy found themselves helpless against technology that seemed to rewrite the laws of physics. Captain Sunja coordinated the attack from her position aboard the flagship Terra's Pride. "All ships, implement Protocol 7. Show them what happens when they threaten Earth." Protocol 7 was humanity's ultimate demonstration of power. Every ship, every platform, every defensive installation in the solar system fired simultaneously. The combined attack created a light show visible across interstellar space as thousands of weapons struck the Dominion fleet at once. When the light faded, over half of the Dominion ships were gone. The survivors found themselves completely surrounded by human vessels that could appear and disappear at will, weapons platforms that could fire across impossible distances, and defensive systems that made their most powerful attacks useless. For the first time in Dominion history, two entire battle fleets faced the very real possibility of complete annihilation. The humans had revealed technology so advanced that it made the mighty Galactic Dominion look primitive by comparison. The galaxy was about to learn that humanity's greatest strength wasn't their technology, it was their willingness to use that technology to defend not just themselves, but anyone who needed protection from bullies and tyrants. In the emergency session of Earth's Global Defense Council, Admiral Dong-hyun stood before a holographic display showing the wreckage of 2 Dominion fleets floating in Earth's outer system. The surviving alien ships had withdrawn beyond the solar system's edge, too damaged to continue fighting but afraid to retreat completely. The immediate threat to Earth has been neutralized, Admiral Dong-hyun announced to the assembled leaders. But this war is far from over. The Galactic Dominion will not accept defeat easily. President Kim of the Pacific Federation leaned forward. Admiral, what are you recommending? We have a choice, Admiral Dong-hyun replied. We can wait for them to return with even larger fleets, or we can take the fight to them. Dr. So-young, who had been analyzing captured Dominion technology, activated her own display. From the data we've recovered, the Dominion controls 12,000 star systems. They've enslaved hundreds of species. If we wait, they'll eventually bring their entire military against us. Director Tai-min stood up slowly. There's another consideration. The Dominion didn't come here to conquer us. They came to exterminate us. They've made it clear that any species that resists them is destroyed completely. Even if we could defend Earth indefinitely, they would never stop trying to kill us. General Hyun-sik studied the intelligence reports. Director, are you suggesting we go on the offensive against an empire that spans thousands of worlds? I'm suggesting we do what humanity has always done when faced with bullies, Tai-min replied. We stand up to them. Admiral Dong-hyun activated another display, showing star charts recovered from the captured Dominion ships. Ladies and gentlemen, we now have detailed maps of their empire. We know where their fleets are stationed, which worlds are heavily defended, and which populations are enslaved. You're talking about starting an interstellar war, the president of Europa said quietly. No, Admiral Dong-hyun corrected. They started the war when they came here demanding our surrender. Now we're going to finish it. The debate continued for hours, but the conclusion was inevitable. Earth could not remain safe while the Dominion existed. They had tried to exterminate humanity without provocation, and they would try again. Admiral Bo-ram, who had been silent during the debate, finally spoke. If we're going to do this, we need to do it right. This isn't about conquest. It's about liberation. Every world the Dominion has enslaved deserves the chance to be free. Agreed, Admiral Dong-hyun said. Captain Woo-jin, your reconnaissance task force will identify Dominion-controlled worlds with enslaved populations. Commander Ji-hai will lead our liberation operations. Dr. Jae-young had been working frantically to expand humanity's manufacturing capabilities. Admiral, I can have production facilities operational in every system we liberate within days of arrival. We can arm and equip any species that wants to fight for their freedom. 3 days later, the first human fleet departed Earth's solar system. Admiral Bo-ram commanded 50 ships using humanity's most advanced technology. Their mission was to begin the systematic liberation of every world the Dominion had conquered. The first target was the Kepler 442 system, where the Dominion had enslaved a species called the Androians 50 years earlier. According to captured intelligence, the system was lightly defended. Only a dozen Dominion ships maintaining control over a population of 2 billion. Captain Woo-jin's reconnaissance showed that the Androians were being used as slave labor in massive mining operations. Their home world had been stripped of resources to feed the Dominion's endless expansion. When Admiral Bo-ram's fleet arrived, in the Kepler 442 system, they found exactly what the intelligence had predicted. A dozen Dominion ships orbited the Androian homeworld, enforcing brutal occupation policies. "This is Admiral Boram of the Earth Liberation Fleet," she broadcast on all frequencies. "Dominion forces in this system, you have 10 minutes to surrender or withdraw. Any ship that does not comply will be destroyed." The Dominion commander, Captain Valk, responded with typical arrogance. "Unknown vessels, you are interfering with Dominion territory. Withdraw immediately or face annihilation." "Your 10 minutes just became 5, Admiral Boram replied. What followed was a demonstration of how far human military technology had advanced. The Dominion ships in the system were completely outclassed. Admiral Boram's fleet destroyed them in less than 3 minutes, using weapons that the survivors wouldn't even recognize. But the real surprise came when the human fleet began dropping supply pods on the Androian home world. Instead of conquering the planet themselves, the humans were providing the Androians with weapons and technology to free themselves. Commander HFY coordinated the liberation effort from her ship, the Freedom's Dawn. Her teams had spent months developing portable manufacturing systems that could create weapons and equipment from local materials. "Androian resistance fighters, this is Commander HFY," she broadcast to the planet's surface. "We are humans from Earth. We're here to help you reclaim your world." The response came from Crix, a young Androian who had been leading underground resistance efforts for years. "Humans? We have never heard of your species. Why are you helping us?" "Because everyone deserves to be free," HFY replied. "We've brought you weapons, equipment, and manufacturing systems. We'll provide tactical support. But this is your fight, your world, your freedom." Within hours, Androian resistance cells across the planet were emerging from hiding armed with human weapons and supported by orbital bombardment that eliminated Dominion ground forces. The liberation of the first enslaved world took less than a day. But Admiral Boram's fleet didn't stop there. Using intelligence provided by grateful Androians, they moved to the next system, and the next. Each liberation provided more intelligence about Dominion operations and more allies in the growing rebellion. Elder Zenth of the Crystal Worlds was one of the first to join the human liberation effort. His people had been enslaved for over a century, their crystalline cities converted into industrial complexes. When human ships arrived in his system, he was skeptical. "We have been abandoned by the galaxy for 100 years, Elder Zenth told Commander HFY during their first meeting. "Why should we trust that humans are different from every other species that ignored our suffering?" "Because we're not asking for your trust," HFY replied. "We're giving you the tools to free yourselves. If we betray you, use those same tools against us." Elder Zenth's people were among the most advanced that humans had encountered, with technology that complemented humanity's dimensional manipulation capabilities. The alliance between humans and Crystal Worlders created new possibilities for liberation efforts. As news of the human liberation campaign spread across the galaxy, something unprecedented began to happen. Species that had been enslaved for centuries started believing that freedom was possible. Resistance movements that had been dormant for generations suddenly came back to life. The Dominion found itself fighting a war unlike any in its history. Instead of facing a single enemy that could be crushed with overwhelming force, they were dealing with rebellions breaking out across their entire empire. Engineer Namwook worked around the clock to establish manufacturing networks in every liberated system. Human technology allowed newly freed worlds to become self-sufficient in a matter of days, producing their own weapons and equipment to defend against Dominion counterattacks. Emperor Kale watched his empire crumble from his throne room on Nexus Prime. Reports came in daily of new worlds declaring independence, backed by human technology and protected by human fleets. "How many systems have we lost?" he demanded. General Vex consulted his reports with shaking hands. "Over 300, my Emperor. The humans are moving faster than we can respond. Every time we send a fleet to retake a world, they've already moved on to liberate 2 more. "This is impossible," Kyle roared. "How can 50 human ships defeat an empire that has ruled for 5,000 years? "My Emperor," General Vex said quietly, "it's not 50 ships anymore. Every world they liberate provides more ships, more resources, more allies. They're not conquering our empire. They're convincing it to abandon us." The human strategy was working perfectly. Instead of trying to defeat the Dominion through brute force, they were dismantling it by giving enslaved species the tools and confidence to free themselves. Captain Sunja coordinated supply lines that stretched across hundreds of star systems, ensuring that every newly liberated world had the resources to defend itself. The manufacturing networks Dr. J. Young had designed could produce everything, from basic weapons to advanced starships using local materials. But the Dominion wasn't defeated yet. Emperor Kyle still controlled thousands of worlds and millions of ships. Desperate to stop the human liberation campaign, he was preparing to deploy the most terrible weapon in the Dominion arsenal. The real test of humanity's resolve was about to begin. Emperor Kale stood in the deepest vault beneath his palace on Nexus Prime, staring at a weapon that the Dominion had never used in 5,000 years of conquest. The Star Eater was a massive ship, larger than a moon, designed for one purpose: to destroy entire star systems by causing their suns to explode. "My Emperor," General Vex said nervously, "are you certain this is wise? The Star Eater has never been tested against an inhabited system." "I am certain that this rebellion must end," Kyle replied coldly. "The humans have convinced half the galaxy to rise against us. If we don't make an example that terrifies everyone back into submission, the Dominion will fall." The Star Eater had been built during the early days of the Dominion as the ultimate threat. No species had ever continued to resist after being told that their sun could be destroyed. The mere existence of the weapon had been enough to keep the galaxy in line. For millennia, High Chancellor Quinn, the Dominion's chief political advisor, looked worried. "My Emperor, if we destroy Earth's sun, we'll be killing billions of innocent humans. The other species will see us as monsters." "They already see us as oppressors," Kale snapped. "Better to be feared monsters than weak rulers. Activate the Star Eater. Set course for the human home system." Admiral Knox, who had been captured during the Second Battle at Earth, but treated with surprising dignity by his human captors, watched from his cell as the massive weapon ship prepared for departure. The humans had allowed him to communicate with his own people, trusting that even their enemies deserved to maintain contact with home. "Admiral Knox," came a voice from outside his cell. Commander Young-Ho stood at the door, looking grim. "We've intercepted Dominion communications. Your Emperor is sending something called the Star Eater toward Earth." Knox felt his blood turn cold. "Commander, you have to evacuate your system immediately. The Star Eater can cause your sun to go supernova. No defense can stop it." "Admiral, we appreciate the warning, but we're not evacuating." "Are you insane? This weapon can destroy your entire star system," Commander Young-Ho smiled sadly. "Admiral, if we run from this, they'll just use it against every world we've liberated. Sometimes, you have to stand and fight even when the odds are impossible." On Earth, Dr. Wan Shik was working frantically in his laboratory beneath the Himalayas. For 20 years, he had been humanity's leading expert on stellar engineering, studying ways to manage and control stellar processes. What most people didn't know was that Earth's sun had been under human management for decades. Admiral Dong Hyun, Dr. Wan Shik reported over the communication system, "I've completed the analysis of the Star Eater's approach vector. It will arrive in 72 hours. Doctor, can our defenses stop it?" "Not directly. The weapon is too large and too heavily shielded. But, Admiral, they're making one crucial mistake." "Which is?" Dr. Wan Shik smiled. "They assume our sun is a natural star." Admiral Dong Hyun raised an eyebrow. "Doctor, are you telling me that our sun isn't natural?" "Oh, it's natural, Admiral, but it's also been carefully modified over the past 30 years. We've been preparing for exactly this type of attack." Captain Sunja, commanding the Deep Space Interception Fleet, received orders to monitor the Star Eater's approach but not to engage. Her 50 ships were among humanity's most advanced, but they were like insects compared to the massive weapon ship approaching Earth. "All ships, maintain distance," she ordered. "We're here to observe and report, not to attack. That thing could destroy our entire fleet without slowing down." The Star Eater emerged from hyperspace at the edge of Earth's solar system like an artificial moon made of metal and menace. Its hull was covered in massive energy collectors and stellar manipulation equipment. At its core was a device that could destabilize the fusion processes keeping stars alive. Emperor Kale himself was aboard the weapon ship, determined to personally oversee humanity's destruction. From the Star Eater's bridge, he broadcast a message to Earth. "Humans of Earth, this is Emperor Kyle. You have 30 minutes to surrender unconditionally. Order all your ships to stand down and prepare for Dominion occupation. If you refuse, I will destroy your sun and every living thing in this system." Admiral Donghyun's response was broadcast on all frequencies, ensuring that species across the galaxy would hear humanity's final stand. "Emperor Kale, this is Admiral Donghyun. We understand your threat, and we reject it. Earth will not surrender to tyrants, regardless of the consequences." "Then you have chosen death for your entire species," Kale replied. "Activate the star." "Eater!" The massive weapon ship began moving toward Earth's sun, its energy collectors glowing as they prepared to destabilize the star's core. Throughout the solar system, human ships and defense platforms watched helplessly as the one weapon they couldn't stop approached their sun. Engineer Nam Wook monitored the stellar manipulation systems from his hidden facility on Ganymede. For 3 decades, these systems had been making subtle adjustments to Earth's sun, preparing for threats that most people couldn't imagine. "Dr. Wan Shik, the Star Eater is beginning its activation sequence," Nam Wook reported. "Stellar destabilization. Field will activate in 20 minutes. "Understood," Dr. Wan Shik replied calmly. "Nam Wook, activate Protocol Solar. Let's show the galaxy what human stellar engineering can accomplish." What happened next would be studied by scientists for thousands of years. As the Star Eater fired its stellar destabilization beam at Earth's sun, the star didn't explode. Instead, it absorbed the energy and redirected it. Earth's sun had been converted into a controlled fusion system with human-built regulators throughout its core. The energy meant to destroy it was instead channeled into a focused beam that lanced out from the star's surface directly at the Star Eater. The most powerful weapon in Dominion history was destroyed by the star it had tried to kill. Emperor Kyle stared in disbelief as his ultimate weapon disintegrated under the focused fury of a controlled star. "Impossible! How did they turn a sun into a weapon?" Dr. Wanshik's voice came across the communication channels, broadcast to every ship in the system. Your Majesty, you made the same mistake everyone makes when dealing with humanity. You assumed we were limited by what you thought was possible. This is impossible, Kyle screamed. Stars are natural phenomena. They cannot be controlled. Emperor, Dr. Wanshik replied patiently, humanity has been manipulating stellar processes for decades. We've been preparing for stellar attacks since we first detected energy signatures in deep space that suggested such weapons existed. Captain Sunja watched from her flagship as the Star Eater's debris scattered across space. The weapon that was supposed to terrify the galaxy into submission had been destroyed by the very star it tried to kill. All ships, move to intercept escape pods, she ordered. Emperor Kale is probably still alive in there somewhere. Indeed, Kale had survived in the Star Eater's heavily armored command section. As human ships rescued him from the wreckage, he couldn't understand what had happened. Everything he thought he knew about the universe had been proven wrong. Commander Ji-Hai coordinated the rescue operation, ensuring that even the Emperor who had tried to commit genocide against humanity was treated with dignity. Your Majesty, you're under arrest for crimes against sentient beings, but you'll be treated according to the laws of war. Laws of war? Kale asked in confusion. I am the Emperor of the Galactic Dominion. I make the laws. Not anymore, Ji-Hai replied. Your empire is falling apart. Your ultimate weapon has been destroyed. And the galaxy has seen that even emperors can be defeated when they choose tyranny over justice. News of the Star Eater's destruction spread across the galaxy faster than light. On thousands of worlds, enslaved species realized that the Dominion's ultimate threat was gone. If humans could destroy the Star Eater, then nothing the Dominion had was truly unstoppable. Elder Zenth sent a message from the Crystal Worlds that was received by liberation forces throughout the galaxy. The weapon meant to terrify us all has been destroyed by the star it tried to kill. The age of Dominion tyranny is ending. Cricks of the Androian resistance coordinated uprisings on 50 worlds simultaneously. The humans have shown us that even the mightiest weapons can be turned against those who wield them unjustly. General Vex, watching from Nexus Prime as reports came in of rebellions breaking out across the Empire, made a decision that would end the war. He activated the emergency broadcast system and spoke to every world in the Dominion. Citizens of the galaxy, this is General Vex. Emperor Kale has been defeated and captured. The Star Eater has been destroyed. I am ordering all Dominion forces to cease hostilities immediately. The war is over. But for humanity, the hardest part was just beginning. They had defeated the largest empire in galactic history. Now they had to help build something better to replace it. The galaxy was about to learn that humanity's greatest achievement wasn't their military victory, but what they would choose to do with that victory. 6 months after the destruction of the Star Eater, Director Eun-jung stood in the main conference room of the newly established Galactic Reconstruction Authority. Through the massive windows, she could see ships from dozens of different species, docked at the space station that orbited the neutral world of Haven Prime. The war was over, but the challenge of peace was proving even more complex than victory had been. The Cronin sector is requesting immediate assistance, reported Ambassador Sang-woo, reading from his daily briefing. Their industrial infrastructure was completely destroyed during Dominion occupation. They need manufacturing equipment and technical advisors. Director Eun-jung nodded, making notes on her tablet. The Galactic Reconstruction Authority had been established to help former Dominion worlds rebuild, but the scope of the task was enormous. 12,000 star systems, hundreds of species, and billions of people who had known only oppression for generations. "What about the Zephyrian colonies?" she asked. "They're requesting military advisors," Sang-Woo replied. "There are still Dominion loyalist forces in their sector, and they don't feel capable of dealing with them alone." Admiral Yoon Seo, who commanded the peacekeeping fleets, looked up from her reports. "Director, we have human ships in 47 sectors providing security assistance, but we're stretched thin. Some of these situations require more than just military presence." The challenge facing the post-war galaxy was unprecedented. The Galactic Dominion had ruled for 5,000 years, creating a civilization based entirely on oppression and fear. Most species had forgotten what freedom looked like, and many had no idea how to govern themselves. On Earth, Emperor Kale sat in a comfortable cell that was larger than most apartments. The humans had treated their captured enemy with a dignity that puzzled him. Instead of execution or torture, he had been given books, entertainment, and regular visits from psychologists who seemed genuinely interested in understanding his perspective. Dr. Min Jung, one of the therapists assigned to work with former Dominion leaders, sat across from Kyle during their weekly session. "Your Majesty," she said gently, "you've been reading about Earth's history. What are your thoughts on our approach to conflict resolution?" Kale set down the tablet he had been reading. "I don't understand your species. You had the power to destroy my empire completely, but instead you're helping our former subjects build new civilizations. Why?" "Because destroying things is easy," Dr. Min Jung replied. "Building something better is hard work, but it's the only way to create lasting peace. But you could rule the galaxy now. Your technology is superior to everyone else's. Why don't you simply take control?" Dr. Min Jung smiled. "Your Majesty, ruling the galaxy would mean being responsible for the happiness and well-being of trillions of people. That's not power. That's an impossible burden. We'd rather help everyone learn to take care of themselves." Meanwhile, at the first session of the Galactic Assembly, representatives from over 800 species gathered to discuss the future of their civilization. The meeting was held on Haven Prime, a world that had been chosen specifically because no species had ever claimed it. Admiral Dong-hyun walked to the podium to deliver the opening address. Around him sat beings of every imaginable form. Crystalline entities from the crystal worlds, the tentacled androians, gaseous beings from the cloud nebula, and hundreds of others. "Representatives of the free galaxy," Admiral Dong-hyun began, "we gather here not as conquerors and conquered, but as equals working toward a common future." Elder Zenth of the crystal worlds leaned forward in his specialized seating. "Admiral, humanity has demonstrated remarkable power. How do we know you won't simply become the new Dominion?" "Because," Admiral Dong-hyun replied, "power that comes from fear doesn't last. Real strength comes from cooperation, not domination. We're not here to rule you. We're here to work with you." Crix of the Androian free colonies stood up. "The humans have kept every promise they made to us. They helped us liberate our world, then left us to govern it ourselves. They provided technology and support, but never tried to control our decisions." The debate continued for days. Species that had been enemies under Dominion rule had to learn to work together. Worlds that had been stripped of resources needed help rebuilding. Military forces had to be reorganized from instruments of oppression into defenders of freedom. Captain Sunja found herself commanding a mixed fleet of ships from 20 different species, all working together to hunt down the last Dominion, loyalist forces. The challenge wasn't military. It was learning to coordinate species with completely different ways of thinking and fighting. "Captain," reported Lieutenant Yu Jin from the communications station, "the Centaurian wing is requesting permission to pursue the enemy ships into the Vega system." "Denied," Sunja replied. "The Vega system has declared neutrality. We don't violate sovereign space, even to chase enemies." Her first officer, Commander Thok Vel of the Crystal Worlds, looked puzzled. "Captain, the human way of war is very different from what we learned under the Dominion." "Commander, the Dominion's way of war is why we had to defeat them," Sunja explained. "If we start acting like them, we become them." The integration of former Dominion military personnel proved to be one of the most challenging aspects of the May post-war period. Admiral Knox, who had been released from custody and offered a position as a military advisor, struggled to understand humanity's approach to their former enemies. "Director Eun-jung," he said during one of their meetings, "I commanded fleets that destroyed civilian populations. Under Dominion law, I should be executed for war crimes. Why am I sitting in your office discussing peacekeeping strategies?" "Admiral Knox, because we believe people can change," Director Eun-jung replied. "Your knowledge of Dominion military tactics is valuable for preventing future conflicts. More importantly, you've seen the consequences of the old way of doing things. Who better to help build something new?" The economic reconstruction was equally challenging. Engineer Nam Wook worked with teams from dozens of species to establish manufacturing networks that could support the new galactic civilization. The challenge was creating systems that benefited everyone equally, rather than extracting wealth for a ruling class. "The Alterian Collective is worried about resource distribution," he reported to the Economic Council. "They're afraid that more advanced species will dominate trade relationships." Dr. Jae Young, who had adapted her manufacturing technology for peaceful purposes, had a solution. "Nam Wook, what if we guarantee that every system can be economically self-sufficient? Our matter conversion technology can be modified so that any species can produce what they need from local materials." "You're talking about sharing your most advanced technology with everyone," observed Counselor Velthar of the Rigel Federation. "That's the idea," Dr. Jae Young replied. "Scarcity creates conflict. Abundance creates cooperation." 1 year after the war's end, the transformation of galactic civilization was remarkable. The Free Worlds Federation had replaced the Galactic's Dominion, based on principles of voluntary association and mutual aid rather than conquest and oppression. Ambassador Sang-woo read the annual report to the Earth Council. Over 9,000 former Dominion worlds have joined the Federation. Industrial production is at levels higher than during the peak of the Dominion, but wealth distribution is far more equitable. The most surprising development had been the rehabilitation of former Dominion leaders. Emperor Kyle, after a year of therapy and education, had become an unlikely advocate for democratic governance. His insights into the failures of authoritarian rule proved valuable for preventing future tyrannies. "I spent 5,000 years believing that fear was the only way to maintain order," Kale said during a broadcast to the galaxy. "The humans showed me that cooperation is not only more moral than oppression, it's more effective." Dr. Min Jung had worked with hundreds of former Dominion officials, helping them understand concepts like consent of the governed and individual rights. Many had become some of the most passionate defenders of the new democratic systems. General Vex, who had formally surrendered the remaining Dominion forces, now served as a historical advisor, documenting the mistakes of the old empire to help prevent their repetition. "The Dominion fell because we confused fear with respect," he wrote in his memoirs. "We thought that making people afraid of us was the same as earning their loyalty. The humans understood that real loyalty comes from gratitude, not terror. But perhaps the most significant change was in how species throughout the galaxy viewed conflict resolution. The human approach of offering enemies a chance at redemption rather than simply destroying them had created a new model for international relations. Captain Mi Kyung, now commanding integrated fleets with pilots from dozens of species, saw this change firsthand. "The young pilots from former Dominion worlds fight differently than their parents did," she observed. "They're not fighting to conquer or to survive. They're fighting to protect something they believe in. The technological sharing that Dr. J. Young had initiated created unprecedented prosperity. Species that had been kept primitive by Dominion policies suddenly had access to advanced manufacturing, energy production, and transportation technologies.